disobeyed a quarantine order when he returned home from vacationing in Miami on March 13th. He attended his cousin's birthday celebration the very next day. He's accused of infecting at least 12 people, including his grandfather.
A lot of people like me, before I got it, like thought they were invincible and didn't really care. They were gonna go do what they had to do. You have to isolate. It would be selfish to not take this disease seriously because it is serious.
No doubt, the elderly and infirmed do face serious consequences from COVID-19.
The younger folks go to the ICU, they survive. In the older population, once you're in the ICU with pneumonia, it closes up blood vessels, it messes with your lungs, it can cause irreversible damage that an older body can't bounce back from.
Because Amy worries some people aren't taking the pandemic seriously enough, she felt...
Good morning. There's commotion going on outside. It makes me feel like I'm catching up with the day. I feel late to the morning, if that makes sense. But nonetheless, still a fresh morning. So, today is day 4 of rock bottom. And if you watched the previous video, I told you that I'm going to be walking you through each of my hobbies, basically reflecting on my hobbies and how they've shaped me, how they made me who I am now, and areas of healing that I need to resolve within each hobby. So, we are starting with yoga today. Yoga was the first thing I picked up during COVID. And again, there wasn't a singular reason. I was just curious as to what I can get out of it. I just wanted to do something to fill the time. And I guess it felt good. So I kept doing it. Perfect reason to try something new, right? Looking back during that time, I was doing yoga every day, and it was actually fun knowing that I could play in my body, because that's what yoga is. You are moving energy around and circulating your internal world. And I was having fun trying things that were too challenging. Because it's like, dang girl, you really can't do this. You're not all that yet. And it was fun knowing that there was a level of challenge and potential. It was interesting learning that I could be conquered by my own body, and there was resistance within me that I can't control. My body had the final say, and I thought that was just kind of funny, because you would think by watching yoga, some of those poses would be simple. No. Your body has the final say, and I thought that was kind of funny. I thought I looked kind of goofy trying something that I thought was easy, and it ended up being a total fail. So I laughed it off. I pushed on. I did things without worrying about what I wanted it to look like. You know, I wasn't really aware of the world of yoga and how flexible you really can get, right? I was just in my own body, in my own world, not thinking of, oh, but if I just stretch a little bit harder, I can get my leg up higher. That didn't hit until probably I started watching guided yoga. Now, I'm not shaming guided yoga. I love guided yoga. I just think when I did that, I then had a comparison to myself and where I was at in my practice compared to this yoga instructor who was probably teaching for decades. And I think subconsciously I made a standard in my head about what real yoga should look like. I never took the time to learn the principles. I never took the time to understand the energy flow and like honing in on the chakras, your breath. There was a moment when my yoga practice became about literally like I've used this word before. It became about becoming a bendy straw. I still want that. Like I still want the flexibility, and it's okay if that's a goal. But the point of yoga is not what it looks like. Nothing artistic flowing through your body is ever what it looks like. My friend Jordan told me it's not what it looks like, it's what it feels like. And that really stuck with me, even in dance, because he's my dance instructor as well. Because that self-consciousness of my body also streamed into my dance practice. That is one thing that surfaced in my yoga practice, being self-conscious of my body. I went on years without actually sitting myself down and saying, Anya, it's not about that. I remember doing yoga, and in the back of my head, the intention was always just to do it to get closer to being more flexible. Now, at the same time, like I said in the previous video, I was going through a very terrible heartbreak. So this was also the first thing I picked up to cope and to transmute my heartache. There was also a moment in my heartbreak journey where I told myself, if I just become a better person, then my ex will come back. And I convinced myself that if I just become healthy, because I wasn't healthy in the relationship, that she will feel safe enough to be with me again. So there's another area that came up that I needed to address: people pleasing. And I think I carried these two things, being self-conscious and people pleasing, throughout my yoga journey, because to some extent it really is about what it looks like. And I still deal with this, where I will shoot not a YouTube video, I will shoot a video of me just doing yoga, and I will be so judgmental on what it looks like because I feel like I don't look flexible. It's almost like body dysmorphia, because I'm sure that no one's like, oh, she doesn't look like she's in a good back bend, or her split's not straight. Like, I'm sure no one's really doing that. They're probably like, oh, wow, she's flexible. But because I documented my heartbreak journey, it became somewhat performative. Like, oh, I need to appear healthy and healed and flexible, just in case she watches my story and sees that I'm working on me. Yoga became performative. I also have a sense of shame tied to my practice because of something that was said to me by a loved one. I used to come downstairs and do my yoga publicly in front of the house every day, every morning, like clockwork. I was very solid in my routine. And there was a morning that I did my routine, packed up, and went about my day. Now, mind you, this is still during COVID era, so I didn't have a job. I was living off the Trump check. I was traveling. I was just doing me. This was like coming out of COVID, where I think you could still work with the mask and stuff like that. However, I was selling my art. And I came down and I did my yoga, packed up and went back upstairs. And this person was being passive aggressive towards my practice and saying that they don't believe that coming downstairs and doing yoga every day is productive. I understood what they were trying to say. They wanted me to work the 9 to 5, but instead of saying, hey, what are your goals for work? They told me what I was doing wasn't suitable. And that really stuck with me for even to this day. I don't do my yoga in front of people anymore in my house because it doesn't feel safe to do that like it used to. And that is a very key part of yoga, feeling safe. That's the whole point. Is to feel safe in your body and your surroundings and return to this sense of safeness and oneness with all things. And I just didn't feel safe to do that anymore. And it kind of took away my sense of innocence in the practice. Like, not even in just yoga, but anything that's just meant for me and not some financial outcome. And this is going to streamline into art, and we'll get there in another day. But this is when my POV shifted from doing things solely for me in the benefit of my mind, body, and spirit to doing things for an outcome, for the goal of productivity and what productivity actually means. People have different definitions of productivity, and I believed in that moment I was being highly productive. Well, how could I not have been? I was in a consistent routine. I was stretching every day, getting more flexible, tapping into me and my emotions. I was healing myself. But people have different ideas of what productivity is. Some people believe that you're not productive unless you're making money or giving back to the community, the society in some way. And that's fine. Everyone can think what they want to think. But it did alter my perception of what I believed was good enough. In this moment, I learned that doing things just for myself is not good enough. I need to be doing other things to prove that I'm productive. I still kind of feel like I have to prove my level of productivity. And that's a whole societal issue. Like, why do we have to prove that we're productive? We should want to be productive because that's what motivates us to do things. We should want to be motivated to do things on our own, not because of what someone thinks is good enough. But I digress. So that's the story of my yoga journey. Here I am 4 years later. It's been 4 years, 5 years later. And I recently got the idea, because I am job searching, to become a yoga instructor. Isn't that cute? I've been putting that idea off for years. I just didn't know where I stood with it. But recently I decided that I need to lean into my passions more and start making money off of my holistic health skills, because that's where I see myself building a career. So I was like, I should be a yoga instructor. And I was really excited. I was like down for it. Started looking up how to become an instructor and get your license or your certificate and stuff like that. And the thought popped in my head of, look how much money you're going to make. And as soon as that thought popped in my head, I was like, this is going to ruin it for you. This is going to discourage you from doing it because of all these things that you've been taught about productivity and people pleasing and doing things not out of joy, love, curiosity, passion, but doing things for a monetary goal. This is going to ruin it for you. I literally told myself that. But that followed by a sneaky little thought of, but if you figure out how much money you're going to make, then you'll know if it's worth it or not. As if the love of my practice is not good enough, right? You see the connections? And these are the connections that if you pay attention to throughout your journey in your passions, you will find the root and you will find the voice that's not yours. And you will find the motivation that was bestowed upon you and not coming from your innocence package. When you learn to differentiate between your innocence speaking and the voices of the external world, you understand what it is you're doing it for, and you'll be more aligned. You will be more aligned with yourself and your higher self. And you'll be more aligned with your source, because your source is the one who gave you this love for something inherently. And guess what? I looked at how much a yoga teacher will make starting out. It said $15 to $30 per hour. And I said, oh, that's not gonna do anything. That's not good enough. That's not enough. And I got turned all the way off. I was like, so I'm spending hundreds of dollars to make 15. Immediately, it became about the money. And I'm not even gonna sit here and be like, oh, that's practical though, because you need to make money to survive. These are my passions we're talking about. They're given to me without the 3D material need for money. Money wasn't even in the picture when I came down here loving what I loved, because I was a child, you know? I need to navigate from that childlike innocence of just doing what you love because you love it, and then worrying about the money at another time. You can't worry about, am I gonna love this? Am I gonna look right? Is it gonna feel right? Are people gonna judge me? And how much money I'm gonna make? That's not the point of your passions. The point of your passions is to fill you up. So here we are. I am going to do my yoga practice as if I am doing it for the first time during COVID. I'm going to intentionally strip away all those limiting beliefs about what it should look like, how much money it should make, how productive I'm being. I'm going to have a shameless practice, and I'm going to drop in a question during my practice of, do I want to share this with other people by leading? Is that something that my heart is calling me to? Is that something that I'm here to do as an act of service for humanity? Because that's the final step of your passions, is asking yourself, is this something that I'm called to share as an act of service to humanity in order to give back the love that I've cultivated in myself? So we'll get there. We'll get there. But for right now, I'm just going to get right within and see if I can share it. Share it. Okay? So let's get into it. I'll let you know how it goes. 5 years ago, I sat on the grass in my grandparents' house with no plan, no direction, and no understanding of what's next. This may seem to some like rock bottom, but it was actually the light at the end of the tunnel. And in that light, I found yoga. But I had to bring my darkness with me. In this moment, I sat with those feelings I was experiencing in the birth of my yoga practice. I'm listening to the playlist I made during the time of songs that helped me through my heartbreak. The playlist is titled Frequencies of Mind, Body, and Spirit. Songs from Tiana Taylor, Kehlani, and Division all play a part in helping me to express what I was feeling back then. In today's practice, I tried to tap back into those feelings so I could quantum leap back to that time in the only way I can, emotionally. I praised that person for how far she's come and encouraged her to keep going. Time really does heal, because I resonated with those songs, but not through heartbreak. Instead, self-love, gratitude, and appreciation. That's when I knew it was time to drop the question. Aigner, do you want to become a yoga instructor?
Missed